The transport hub on Station Gamma thrummed with activity as beings from 100 worlds passed through its corridors. Marcus Webb stood near the observation deck, watching the stars beyond the reinforced glass, when he felt the tug on his sleeve. She was small by human standards, perhaps 5 feet tall, with skin that shimmered like polished silver under the station's harsh lighting. Her eyes were large and violet, filled with something that transcended species. Fear. "Please," she whispered in flawless English, her voice trembling. "You are from Earth, yes? I can see it in your build, your bearing. I need your help." Marcus turned fully toward her, instinctively scanning the corridor. 3 figures lingered near the far entrance, their postures suggesting they were watching without wanting to appear obvious. They wore the dark uniforms of the Kelvin Consortium, a corporate entity that controlled mining operations across 6 systems. "I don't know you," Marcus said carefully. "My name is Lyra. I am the Crown Princess of Valdris, though that title means nothing now. My world was conquered 3 cycles ago. The Consortium killed my family and took control of our resources. I escaped, but they hunt me still." Marcus had heard stories about Valdris. It had been a peaceful world, rich in rare minerals, until the Consortium had manufactured a trade dispute and used it as justification for invasion. The Galactic Council had condemned the action, but done nothing substantive to stop it. "Why come to me?" Marcus asked. "Because humans have a reputation," Lyra said. Her violet eyes locked onto his with desperate intensity. "You do not bow. You do not accept conquest. When the Draken Collective tried to enslave your colony on New Perth, your people fought them to a standstill. When the Hive attempted to assimilate your research station, a single human crew turned them back. You are the only species in the known galaxy that consistently refuses to submit." Marcus felt the weight of those words. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through superior technology or ancient wisdom, but through sheer stubborn refusal to be pushed around. It had made them respected, feared, and occasionally resented. "Taking you under my protection would mean making enemies," Marcus said. "The Consortium has deep pockets and long reach." "I know what I ask," Lyra replied, "but I have nowhere else to turn. The Council will not help. The other powers see my world as already lost. Only Earth has shown the willingness to stand against those who believe might makes right." One of the watchers across the corridor spoke into a communication device. Marcus made his decision. "Come with me," he said. They moved quickly through the station, Marcus leading them toward the docking ring where his ship waited. Lyra stayed close, her head down, trying to be inconspicuous despite her distinctive appearance. "What were you doing on the station?" Marcus asked as they walked. "Trying to book passage anywhere the Consortium does not operate," Lyra explained. "But they have agents everywhere. They monitor the passenger lists, bribe the dock workers. I was running out of options when I saw you." They reached the berth where the Defiance sat docked, a mid-sized cargo hauler that Marcus had modified extensively over the years. It was not the fastest ship or the most heavily armed, but it was his, and he knew every system intimately. "Stop right there," a voice called out. 3 Consortium security officers approached, hands resting on holstered weapons. The leader, a tall reptilian being with scales the color of rust, stepped forward. "That female is wanted for theft of corporate property," the officer said. "Surrender her immediately." "She's not property," Marcus replied evenly. "And she's under my protection now." "You are human," the reptilian observed. "You understand what you are risking?" "The Consortium does not forget slights." "I understand perfectly," Marcus said. "And I'm telling you that if you want her, you'll have to go through me to get her." The 3 officers exchanged glances. Humans had a reputation for being unreasonably difficult when challenged, and starting a firefight on a neutral station would bring complications none of them wanted. "This is not over," the leader finally said. "It never is," Marcus agreed. Once aboard the Defiance, Marcus sealed the airlock and moved to the cockpit. Lyra followed, her relief palpable. "Where will we go?" she asked. "First, we get out of this system," Marcus said, running through the pre-flight checklist. "Then we figure out what comes next." The ship detached from its berth and began moving toward the jump point. Station control cleared them without incident, though Marcus noticed several consortium vessels changing vector to intercept. "They are following," Lyra said, watching the display. "They are," Marcus confirmed. "But they will not catch us before we jump." He was right. The Defiance reached the jump point with minutes to spare, and the universe twisted around them as they entered hyperspace. In the relative safety of the jump, Marcus turned to his unexpected passenger. "Tell me everything," he said. "I need to know what I am dealing with." Lyra explained how the consortium had arrived in her system under the pretense of negotiating mining rights. When her father, the king, had refused their unfavorable terms, they had declared the negotiations failed and attacked. The Planetary Defense Force had been overwhelmed within days. Her family had been executed as examples. "I only survived because my personal guard smuggled me out in a cargo container," Lyra said, her voice breaking slightly. "They died buying me time to escape. All of them. Why does the consortium want you specifically?" Marcus asked. "Because I am the rightful heir," Lyra explained. "While I live, I represent a legitimate claim to Valdris. They want to eliminate any possibility of future resistance coalescing around my bloodline." Marcus considered this. Taking on the consortium directly would be suicide, but he had not promised to start a war. He had only promised protection. "You need more than just a bodyguard," Marcus said. "You need a way to fight back." "How?" Lyra asked. "I have no army, no resources, no allies." "You have something better," Marcus said. "You have the truth, and you have humanity's stubborn refusal to accept injustice." Over the following days, Marcus contacted old friends and associates across human space. He reached out to journalists, activists, and politicians who cared about the principles humanity claimed to uphold. He documented Lyra's testimony and distributed it through channels the consortium could not easily suppress. The response was slow at first, then built like a gathering storm. Human colonies began refusing to trade with the consortium. Human merchants stopped carrying their goods. Human mercenaries declined their contracts. It was not an official embargo, but something more difficult to combat, a grassroots rejection. Other species began to take notice. If humans would stand on principle, even when it cost them, perhaps the consortium's actions deserved more scrutiny. The Galactic Council, embarrassed by the growing outcry, finally launched a formal investigation. The consortium tried to retaliate, sending ships to capture or kill Lyra. Each attempt failed. Human volunteers rallied to defend her, forming an impromptu fleet that shadowed the Defiance wherever it went. They were merchant captains and freight haulers, miners and colonists, none of them soldiers, but all of them willing to stand their ground. "I do not understand," Lyra said one evening as they sat in the Defiance's small common area. "Why do your people care so much? My world is not human. My people are not your people." Marcus thought about how to explain it. "Humanity learned some hard lessons in our history," he said finally. "We learned that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We learned that if you do not stand up when others are oppressed, eventually there will be no one to stand up for you. We learned that the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing." "Those are fine words," Lyra said. "But words do not stop weapons." "No," Marcus agreed. "But they inspire people to pick up weapons when necessary. And sometimes they convince those with weapons to put them down." 6 months after Lyra had first approached Marcus on Station Gamma, the Galactic Council issued its ruling. The consortium's actions on Valdris were declared illegal. Sanctions were imposed. Occupation forces were ordered to withdraw. It was not a complete victory, but it was justice of a sort. "What will you do now?" Marcus asked as they prepared to return to Valdris for the first time. "Rebuild," Lyra said. "It will take generations to repair what was broken. But at least now we have the chance." "You will not be alone," Marcus assured her. "Humanity tends to remember its friends." As the Defiance dropped out of hyperspace above Valdris, Lyra saw her homeworld again for the first time since her escape. Cities still bore scars from the occupation, but the consortium flags had been torn down. Her people, resilient and determined, had begun the work of healing. "Thank you," Lyra said quietly, "for standing with me when no one else would." Marcus smiled. "That is what humans do," he said simply. "We stand." The princes of a conquered world had sought protection from an Earthling, and in doing so, had reminded the galaxy why humanity's obstinate refusal to bow had earned them their place among the stars. Not through conquest or domination, but through the simple, stubborn insistence that some things were worth fighting for, no matter the cost.